So, leaders from across the Asia-Pacific region, we're talking about a group that represents nearly half the world's entire economy. They just got together to figure out how to steer through some seriously choppy economic waters. They've come up with a brand new playbook, and we're going to break down exactly what's inside. And really, this is the big question, isn't it? When you think about the APEC economies, you're looking at this massive, interconnected engine that drives global growth. Its health matters to all of us, no matter where we live. So, what's the final verdict from their finance ministers?
And here's what they came back with. On one hand, the region's economies have been incredibly resilient. They've taken some hits, but are still standing. But on the other hand, the road ahead is, well, it's pretty foggy. There are some significant risks just over the horizon. And it's that mix of strength and real uncertainty that they're trying to get a handle on.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because they're not just being vague. They're pointing to specific headwinds that are causing problems. You've got policy uncertainty, which makes it almost impossible for businesses to plan ahead. Geopolitical tensions are gumming up the works for global trade. Then there's the huge challenge of global debt. And of course, as we've all learned the hard way, our supply chains are way more fragile than we ever thought.
So, staring down all that uncertainty, what's the game plan? Well, it's called the Incheon plan, and you should really think of it as their new economic GPS, a strategic roadmap designed to guide the entire Asia-Pacific region for the next 5 years.
And here's the crucial thing. This isn't just some minor update or a fresh coat of paint. The Incheon plan is a brand new framework. It's officially taking the reins from their old strategy, the Cebu Action Plan, and it's setting a totally fresh course for how these countries are going to work together. Okay, so the whole plan rests on these 4 main pillars. For this explainer, we're going to zoom in on 3 of the really big ones that form the core of their economic strategy: driving innovation, modernizing finance, and making sure government spending is smart. And that 4th pillar, access and opportunity, well, that's the glue that holds it all together, making sure this growth actually benefits everyone.
All right, first up, innovation. APEC is betting big here. They're looking at things like artificial intelligence as the key engine to really supercharge their productivity and get their economies growing again. But it's one thing to say you support innovation. How do you actually make it happen? It's easy to talk the talk, right? Well, the plan gets into some very specific strategies to build an environment where new ideas can actually take root and grow. And here's their playbook. They want to get more investment flowing to small and medium-sized businesses, you'll see that as MSMEs, and, of course, startups. They're trying to knock down barriers so great ideas can move easily across borders, help the most promising companies scale up, and, this is a big one, invest in the skilled people and the solid infrastructure needed to really power this AI revolution. Now, governments aren't just sitting on the sidelines here. They see themselves playing 3 key roles. First, offering incentives, think tax credits, to get companies to dive into AI. Second, making direct investments themselves in the really critical infrastructure. And third, building strong partnerships with the private sector because they know they absolutely cannot build this future alone. Okay, on to the second pillar, finance. I mean, technology is completely changing how we handle our money. Banking, investing, all of it. APEC wants to grab all the amazing opportunities that come with this digital shift, but without getting burned by the very real risks. And this lays out the balancing act perfectly. On one side, digital finance offers these incredible benefits. Things are way more efficient, more people can get access to credit, and you can get these super personalized services. But on the other side, if you don't manage it right, you could threaten the stability of the whole financial system, hurt consumers, and just completely lose public trust. This quote from their joint statement really gets to the heart of it. The key words to focus on here are responsible and human-centric. The whole point is to make sure all this powerful new tech actually serves people and helps expand access for everyone, especially for folks who've kind of been left out of the traditional financial system. All right, let's get into our third big pillar, fiscal policy. This is all about how governments manage their own checkbooks, especially when things are so uncertain and budgets are tight. How do you stay responsible with taxpayer money while still investing in the future? A huge part of the answer comes down to this idea of creating fiscal space. It's a simple concept, but it's incredibly powerful. Just think of it as a government's financial wiggle room. It's the cushion it needs to handle unexpected shocks, like a natural disaster or another pandemic, without going completely broke. And to get that wiggle room, the plan points to these 3 things. First, you've got to be smart and prudent about how you manage debt. Second, your budgets need to be credible and totally transparent so people can trust them. And third, you need to have plans in place, like disaster risk financing, to handle big risks before they turn into full-blown crises. One of the key tools they're looking at to do more with less is the public-private partnership, or PPP. This table breaks it down beautifully. Basically, the public sector sets the goals and keeps an eye on the project to make sure it's good for the public. Meanwhile, the private sector brings in the cash, the expertise, and the efficiency to actually get these huge projects built and running.
So, when you pull it all together, when you take the push for innovation, the modernizing of finance, and the smart government spending, it all points to this one single vision. The goal here isn't just about making the economy bigger. It's about building a region that's more prosperous and way more resilient, one that works for everyone, not just today, but for generations to come.
And that, of course, leaves us with the final massive question. The Incheon plan is ambitious, it's comprehensive, no doubt about it. It sees the risks clearly and it lays out a strategy for growth. But in a world that just seems to get more and more uncertain, will it be enough? The real test is just beginning.